Maxxxine is a 2024 crime drama mystery horror movie. Written and directed by Ty West, it's the final installment of the X trilogy, following X and Pearl. It stars Mia Goth, Kevin Bacon, and Carlo Esposito. The story follows Maxxxine, who was the sole survivor of the bloody incidents of X. It follows her as she continues her journey towards fame to be an actress in 1980s Los Angeles.
Name 5 celebrities who got their start in horror movies.
Jamie Lee Curtis, John Travolta, Demi Moore, Brooke Shields, and
Maxxxine fucking Minx.
Oh my god, guys, I cannot convey to you how much I love this movie. I had such an incredible time with it, but it's definitely not going to be for everyone, and I'm warning you up front. It is very different from both X and Pearl, kind of like they were very different from each other. So you could have loved X and Pearl and not necessarily like this, or you could have loved X and not liked Pearl and still like this, or whatever, because they're just very different movies. The one thing I don't think anyone out there will argue is that this is well made. It is extremely well shot. You can really feel the budget upgrade, and it's just so amazing to me. It makes me so happy and excited to see Ty West get a budget like this, because none of his movies have ever really had a legit Hollywood level budget. With that being said though, this is still very art house. It still isn't like a blockbuster. It's just the soundtrack is incredible, and it's all songs you'll recognize, and those aren't cheap. The set design, the costumes, everything about how this film looks is not cheap. And that's something that's so cool to me, because it does have that budget. It has that grimy, really authentic 1980s Los Angeles look, but yet it doesn't feel like it's sold out. It doesn't feel like Ty West sold out to get this budget and had to make this movie that's going to make a bunch of money. It feels very much still like a Ty West movie, because it gets batshit crazy at times. There's things that don't exactly make sense. There's stuff that you're going to be scratching your head on, decisions he makes that I personally loved, but I know for sure not everybody will. And Mia Goth, again, is just amazing in this movie. I wouldn't say it's at the level of Pearl, because she doesn't have such long, drawn-out dialogues, of her just basically giving everything she's got to the camera. This is much more of her being in action and having to do things, and stuff going on quite a bit. It isn't just her in a room giving these long, one takes or anything. And I really loved the performance from Kevin Bacon in this. He's amazing. I definitely can see some people not loving his performance, because he definitely goes for it and makes some choices. And it's pretty funny at times, but I think a lot of it is meant to be that way. This movie is very campy, and it's intentional. The whole movie very much feels like it's from the 80s. It pays homage or tribute or inspirations from 1980s entertainment. Everything from TV shows to mainstream movies to horror, for sure horror. There's a lot of horror Easter eggs and really fun things that are packed into this movie. But it's also a fantastic just slice of 1980s life. Just the way they showed the news segments, it really took me back to being a little kid and just remembering what it felt like to be in that world. And I really loved how authentic it feels, because a lot of 1980s stuff now feels like the way people envision, younger people now, the way they envision 80s culture and all of that, and like what it felt like and looked like. And it's a little more glamorous and a little more, cool than it actually was. But this really shows it the way it was. There was a lot of cool to it. It was fun. It is glamorous in some ways, but it's also very dark and seedy and slimy and gross at times. There's just, things about the 80s that were not perfect by any means. It shows the drug abuse and the Hollywood abuse and the way women were treated, and just in general, it shows you that seedy side of Hollywood as well. But this movie is just so incredibly fun, but it makes a lot of choices, especially in the final act, that I think are going to leave a lot of people kind of scratching their head and not being sure exactly what they just watched. But That's why I'm kind of warning you up front. There is a lot of camp in this. It is intentionally meant to feel like something from the 80s. So a lot of this has that crime drama, cheesy cops running around, detective work stuff going on. I felt a little bit of Malignant in this, that kind of cheesiness where if you're in on the joke, so to speak, you'll have a great time with it. But if you don't realize what's going on there and what Ti West is trying to do, it can be a little confusing and even maybe a little off-putting. But I can say this, if you're a fan of Ti West and his attention to detail and his fun, interesting, unique, dark, creepy, uncomfortable storytelling, I can't see any way you're not entertained by this. So it's one of those situations for me that I can't really come up with any negatives about, because everything to me felt planned out, felt thought out, felt intentional. And so it's like anything I would take away would just change the overall experience of what this was. It isn't as gory as X, but it does have a few scenes that if you're a gore hound, it's still gonna make you excited, because it definitely goes for it, but just only in a couple spots, and especially towards the end. This is much more of like a crime mystery, whodunit slasher. It has a little bit of giallo feel about it, definitely paying tribute to giallo at times. I wouldn't say it's an actual giallo movie, I don't mean that, but it definitely has a little bits of that here and there. To me, it just felt kind of like a mixture of a bunch of different things. If anything, it just really has that traditional 80s slasher, like Pieces and The Burning, just that kind of seedy, kind of dirty, kind of grimy feel about it. But this really is a one of a kind. And I briefly mentioned the soundtrack, but it's incredible. If you're a fan of 1980s music, I mean, there's pop, there's hard rock, there's rock, just a variety of songs. But for me, it was very nostalgic and found myself singing along. But more than anything, it just gives it a really great mood and attitude to it. Even the choices of what Maxxxine is wearing, the car she drives, the cigarettes she smokes, everything looks very thought out and just really gives this fantastic vibe and energy to it. So right now, with the way I'm feeling, Maxxxine is definitely my favorite horror movie so far this year. It is the only one that I have been extremely excited to actually go and see again. So tonight, I can't wait. I'm going to the drive-ins and watching it again. And for anyone out there wondering if they need to see X and Pearl before watching Maxxxine, no, not really. They do a good job of kind of catching you up to speed, giving you enough to where you know what's going on here. But I would ask, why would you not go see those movies? Because both those movies are fantastic. They're both available streaming as well. So Pearl is available over on Prime and X is over on Netflix, at least the last time I checked. So I would go watch those, but I do think they do a fine job. So you can still watch this and not be, too confused. I felt like it's an absolute slam dunk ending to a trilogy. And that's just such an amazing thing, because so often we see movies series where the first one, the second one are great, and then it's that third one just doesn't quite do it. And so forever that trilogy just doesn't quite hold up. I honestly think this could be the best franchise we've had for horror in maybe the last 20 years. It's that good. I enjoyed every single movie in this series in its own way, in its different, unique way. I honestly can't even say which one is my favorite, because they're all so very different, and there are different things that I enjoyed and was entertained about all of them, because each one kind of pays tribute to a certain type of movie, of certain era in filmmaking. And as someone that just loves movies, especially horror, this is just such a treat. Right now, Ti West is one of my absolute favorite filmmakers going today, and I just can't wait to see what he does next. So if everything I said sounds like something that you would enjoy, then please go out, support this movie in theaters, give it your money so that we can get more movies like this, because it's wild and crazy and unique. It is not like most of the stuff we do see in Hollywood. I just think it's such a great time in history to be a fan of horror. We have so many movies every year that are just absolutely kick-ass, and this is another one.
Maxxxine!
Maxxxine.
Maxxxine!
Maxxxine.
Maxxxine. You're a fucking movie star.
But that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for checking this out. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel. And when I post videos like this, and I post videos like this every single week. I also want to give a huge, massive, enormous thank you to the Ghost Pirate crew, to you guys over on Patreon, and to the channel members over here. You guys mean so much to me. And if you would like to help support this channel over on Patreon, there's a link down in the description, or you can become a channel member by pushing that join button down there. But like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember guys, horror can be fun. If you enjoyed this, click right here to watch me review another movie, and I'll see you guys next time.